Yesterday we introduced you to the chromatic scale and the whole tone scale. Both of them are cool, they sound nice, but they're not quite familiar to our ears that have been raised on Western popular music. That's because the chromatic scale and the whole tone scale are both based on single intervals. The chromatic scale is based on just half steps, and the whole tone scale is based on just whole steps. It's when you start combining the two that things start to get interesting. In fact, there is a special sequence of half steps and whole steps that will not only sound more familiar to you, it has so much depth and functionality that it is the foundation of everything that we will learn in this entire program. And it's also the foundation of pretty much most of the music that you'll ever play in your whole life. It's called the major scale. The good news is, you already know it. It's what your ear naturally gravitates to. You often hear it in the form of do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. It's the most fundamental scale in all of Western music, and it can be built with the following formula. Whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. 2 whole steps, half step. 3 whole steps, half step. Let's check it out. Here we're going to construct the A major scale. Starting on A, a whole step up gives us B. A whole step up from that gives us C sharp. Now we have our first half step to D. A whole step up from that gives us E. A whole step up from that gives us F sharp. 1 more whole step gives us G sharp. And the last half step brings us back home to A. There it is, the most foundational scale in all of Western music. Let's finger this out. Here's the most convenient way to play the A major scale in your right hand in 2 octaves, starting from here, going all the way up to here. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. Resets back to the same thing we did here. 4, and then we can do 5. Notice that when you're ascending the piano with your right hand, if you play a note with your 5th finger, it's really hard to keep going up. Playing the right hand, pinky, is kind of like an upper limit. You're not going any higher because anatomy prevents you. That's why this fingering pattern only goes up to the 4th finger. It makes it easy to climb as high as you want because you can cross under pretty easily, as opposed to crossing under the 5th finger or crossing over your pinky like this. For now, we'll be practicing scales going up in 2 octaves, just like I did, from here up to here. At the end of the 2nd octave, instead of crossing our thumb under to hit that final note, we'll just use our pinky, since we're not going any higher. Using the pinky like this is nice because it sets us up for going back down in exactly the way we came. Here's what that looks like. Pause the video and try it for yourself once or twice to get a feel for it. Fingering is a big deal, so try to be precise with exactly which fingers you want to play. For the left hand, since the pinky's on the opposite side, it establishes a lower limit. We begin the scale with the pinky and climb up. Then, when we descend, the left-hand pinky is the last note we play. Since we're not going any lower after that. Here's what that left-hand fingering pattern looks like one more time. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, cross over. 3, 2, 1, cross over. 4, 3, 2, 1, cross over. 3, 2, 1. And then the same back down. I want to make an important point. Crossing the thumb is a really big part of playing the piano. There are 2 ways to cross a thumb, over and under. We will primarily be focused on crossing the thumb under, and it should be smooth and controlled. When you cross under, try to avoid unnecessary hand rotation. If your fingers, in other words like this, you don't want to be doing this to get your thumb under. If your fingers are nice and curved and your fingers are bearing weight in the correct way, like we talked about in the posture video, there should be plenty of room for your thumb to get under your finger where it needs to go without any extraneous contortions. Even if, here it's easy because you got your middle finger on a black note, which is higher, so you get all kinds of space to get under it. But even if you're going here, still you've got a little bit extra room so you can get your thumb under that finger and cross. We're trying to economize motion here, so the simpler and the more relaxed, the better it is. A couple of quick observations about the major scale. It only has 7 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Which means there are 5 notes that we didn't play. The A major scale has these 7 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Remember, we don't count this one because we already counted it over here. Since it has these 7 notes, that means it doesn't have these 5 notes. Okay, observation number 2. The major scale has a light, happy sound. The major scale starts on the letter of the scale's name. A major starts on A. When we arrive at that letter, listen to how it feels like home. It's like arriving at this letter releases all the tension. It's the pitch center of the scale. Remember, we built it with the formula whole step, half step, whole step, half step. We can use this formula and build any major scale on any note. For example, let's use the pattern beginning on E flat. Well, a whole step up from E flat gives us F, whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, and then half step. This would be the E flat major scale. Since there are 12 possible starting notes, there are 12 different major scales. By the end of this program, you will have learned all of them. But don't be intimidated, we'll learn them slowly. But you might surprise yourself with how quickly you can pick them up.